Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Nikki if you're new here, and on this channel we talk all things books, TV, and especially right now, Big Brother. I really thought with Big Brother just around the corner, it would be the perfect time to kind of create a video like the one I'm making today for anyone who is thinking about checking out Big Brother and has no idea what this show is about. Or maybe you've seen a few episodes and you're kind of lost on things. Whatever the case may be, if you're new to Big Brother, this is the video for you. This is going to be BB 101. Okay, so if you've literally never watched an episode of Big Brother, you don't really know what the game is about, let me give you just a real quick overall synopsis of the idea behind the game, and then we'll dive into the mechanics a little bit more. But essentially, Big Brother is a game where a group of people, usually somewhere between around 12 and 16 people, are locked inside of a house, filmed 24/7, and we're allowed to watch it. Cut off from the outside world, no news, no phones, no social media, no communication with their families back home, and they are playing for their chance to win $750,000. Let's start off by focusing on the foundational key elements of the Big Brother game that you know you're going to see season after season. There may be some tweaks to some of these things because of twists and different things of that nature, but these are the key foundational elements of the Big Brother game. So starting things off, we have the head of household, also known as the HOH. The HOH is a competition that the house guests will play each and every week, and whomever wins that competition will have the power to nominate 2 house guests for eviction later on in the week. Now, these challenges vary from physical challenges, puzzle challenges, memory kind of challenges, as well as just a luck of the draw, lucky chance kind of competition. After the head of household is crowned, we will have a nomination ceremony. In this ceremony, the head of household names 2 people that they want to be eligible for eviction later in the week. Then we will have another competition. This competition is called the veto competition. The veto has changed throughout several seasons or throughout the series or longevity of the game, whatever you want to say, but it has remained the golden power veto for quite some time. I would have to fact check myself, but I think since season 6 we've had golden power veto. So this is a competition that is not played by everyone in the house until we get down to the final 6. The veto competition is only played by 6 people, and with our current format, the head of household, the 2 people that the head of household nominated, they will randomly draw names out of a box to determine the other 3 people that will compete with them in the veto competition. Now, there is also usually like a house guest choice kind of coin in the box, or if the HOH or one of the nominees draws their own name, they can choose who they want to compete with them in that competition. So, again, these challenges vary between really physical, mental, puzzles, spelling sometimes, all different kinds of competitions to win the power of veto. And the winner of this competition wins the power of veto, meaning they can choose to use this power and remove one of those 2 nominees from the block, or They can choose to not use the power and leave the nominations the same. Now, one important thing to make note of for this power of veto is, say I win the power of veto and Jack and Jill are nominated, I can use the power of veto on Jill, but I also am still safe because I won that power of veto. It doesn't transfer safety. It's just an additional safety that you can give to someone. That's something that a lot of people tend to get confused on, so I want to make that very clear. The winner of the power of veto cannot be nominated as a replacement nominee, which we will get into in just one moment. After the winner of the power of veto is determined, then we will have the veto ceremony. And this is the ceremony where the veto holder will decide if they want to use the power or not use the power. If they want to use the power, they will name the nominee that they want to remove from the block, and then that nominee and the veto holder are safe from being nominated. After that, the HOH will name a replacement nominee. So it cannot be the person that was just saved, and it cannot be the person who won the power of veto. And at the end of that veto ceremony, we will know for certain who our 2 nominees are going into eviction night, unless there's a twist that changes things. But for the most part, if we're just speaking normal foundational elements of the Big Brother game, those 2 will be our final nominees moving into eviction night on Thursday. Okay, so now moving into eviction night, once we have all of our nominations locked, we will have our eviction episode, and these are typically live episodes on Thursday nights. And in this episode, the 2 nominees will have the opportunity to give a speech to all of the house guests, and they will then, all of the house guests outside of the 2 nominees, and more than likely the HOH, will not cast a vote, but everyone else will go into the diary room, cast a vote on who they want to be evicted from the Big Brother house out of the 2 nominees, and the nominee that receives the most vote is then evicted from the Big Brother house, and they go out and meet Julie, Chandler, and Bez. Now, the only time the head of household will get to vote on eviction night is if there is, for some reason, a tie. So if there's an even amount of voters and there is not a majority vote cast, then the HOH will cast the deciding vote to determine who will go home. Okay, so those are all of your foundational elements of Big Brother. Each week we will have our HOH, our veto, our nomination ceremony, our veto ceremony, and our evictions, and they will continue to evict people until there are only 3 people left in the house. And then the format kind of changes just slightly, just because of how many people are in the house, until we get down to our final 2. From there, our final 2 will give their finale night speeches, and the jury, who in last season was 7 people, they will cast their votes on who they want to win the game of Big Brother for this season. Now, one thing to make important note of is with our current format of the game, like I said, the jury is 7 people. We've had 9 before, and smaller than 9 as well, I think, or smaller than 7 as well, I think. The jury is sequestered, so once we get down to When people have to start going into the jury house, they will all go live in the same house. They will still be disconnected from the outside world. Each week, when a new house guest is evicted, they come with a DVD that shows the jury how the competitions went, how the ceremonies went. It doesn't have any diary room sessions or anything like that. But that's how the jury members are able to make decisions on who they think is playing the best game or whatever they choose to vote on. But that's kind of how a very generic, untwisty Big Brother season looks. But Big Brother, the tagline for the show is expect the unexpected because it is full of twists and turns and unknowns and all different kinds of things. So let's dive into some of the twists that we've seen before and how they have kind of impacted the game and also some of my opinions on those. So starting with the HOH. Like I mentioned earlier, typically in a normal Big Brother game, when there's no twist that affects the HOH, there are two nominees. Some twists that we've seen in the past has been one called the Battle of the Block, where there were actually two HOHs crowned. And so each of those two HOHs would nominate two people. So we would have four nominees. And then there was a separate competition that had to be played that was called Battle of the Block, to determine who the final two nominees would be. We still had a veto, we still had eviction night, all of those different kinds of things were still a factor of the game, but it just added this additional element of HOHs either having to figure out how to work together, or it added, a greater chance of you being nominated to go on the block, all of those different kinds of things. Additionally, in last year's season, and this is a twist that I think we could see come back, we had a twist that was called AI Arena. Now, last season's theme was very heavily AI centered, so I do not think it will be called AI Arena, but I think that this season will see this same twist kind of return. But essentially, this twist meant that there were three nominees rather than two, and on eviction night, they played in the AI arena, and the person that won that competition was saved from the block. Now, again, we still had the normal kind of HOH competitions. We still had veto competitions, all of those different kinds of things. But there was just a standard three nominees for a pretty long while of the game, I think, until we made it into the jury, or maybe even a week or so after that. And we didn't know who our final two nominees were going to be until the live show. I'll be honest, I think there's a very high probability of us seeing this again this year. I do think there was some room for improvement on this twist, but it is one of the twists that I've liked the most in New Era Big Brother. Okay, let's talk about some veto twists that we've seen in the past. Now, as I mentioned, our current format, we have had the golden power veto as our standard veto for a long time now. But we've had some other vetoes come into play from time to time. One of those is the diamond power veto, where the veto holder of the diamond power veto gets to not only save someone from the nomination block, but they get to name their replacement nominee. So it takes that power away from the head of household. We've also had some seasons where there was a double veto in play. So it's just like the name says, there's two people that win the power of veto for that week. They don't get to name any replacements, but they do each get to take their turn to decide if they want to save someone. And what's really important with this is the order of which the two vetoes are used, because the HOH will name their replacement nominee in between each veto holder. So if I have a veto and Jill has a veto, I can use my veto to save someone. I can't be nominated. Someone else gets nominated by the HOH. Then Jill gets to decide if she wants to use her veto. She can save that person that was just nominated, and she herself also cannot be nominated. So if you're working with an alliance, a double veto can really almost help ensure that none of your alliance is on the block if it's played right. So yeah, there's just different elements like that of kind of little twists and tweaks that they make sometimes to the veto. A lot of times those special ones are only used for like 1 week, and it's typically like a special competition that they won to be able to get it, or there's been Pandora's Box, which we'll talk about in just a moment. And there's also been like America's votes. There's a lot of times where America can kind of vote to give people a certain power and different things of that nature. So let's chat about Pandora's Box real quick since I just brought that up. Pandora's Box we have not seen in a really long time. It's a twist that I would actually love to see make a return. But essentially Pandora's Box is the HOH gets the opportunity to enter Pandora's Box, and if they receive something good when they go in, then a punishment is released onto the house. If they receive something not so good while they're in Pandora's Box, then the house guests outside of HOH receive something good. So, for example, season 12, Brittany won HOH, and the Pandora's Box like prompt said that she could have a discussion with a former house guest and get tips from them. So she chose to open Pandora's Box, and she was met with former house guest Jesse Goddards, who is like a fitness, wrestling, whatever. So she was receiving fitness tips, not like tips on how to win the game of Big Brother. And while she was locked in this room receiving fitness tips, the rest of the house got like a margarita and taco party. So that's kind of like sometimes there's monetary values added in, or clothing, like high-end clothing, different things of that nature. But that's just kind of how that twist works. At some point throughout the season, we will always have a double eviction. We've even had some seasons where we had a triple eviction. So a double eviction is just like the name sounds, where, like I said, on eviction night, the episodes are live and the house guests will come out and they will do their normal eviction, and then they will back to back play HOH, have the ceremony, play veto, have the ceremony, and then vote again. By the end of that episode, there will be 2 people that have been evicted rather than just 1. So typically we only have 1 of those in a season, but there have been a couple seasons if the cast size was larger, like on those 16 end of the scale, where we have had 2 throughout the season. So it's something that we'll just have to kind of see. Typically, the house guests can kind of count down the days and numbers of how many weeks are left compared to how many house guests are left, and figure out how many double evictions they will probably see throughout the season, or if there's a possibility of a triple eviction. I think the only triple eviction, I would have to fact check myself on this, but I think the only triple eviction we had was in Big Brother 22, which is like the All-Stars 2 season. I think that might have been the only time we had a triple eviction, but I could be wrong about that. There are tons of other twists that I didn't really dive into in this video. I could maybe do a part 2 if there's any twist that you've maybe heard about and you're like, what the heck are people talking about? Let me know in the comments. But I kind of just wanted to give an overview of how the game works, as far as competitions, ceremonies, the foundational elements, and then how some of those things have been impacted from twist. Now, let's chat just real quickly before we wrap up today's video about the live feeds. So, as I mentioned in the beginning, these house guests are filmed 24/7, and there are weekly episodes. Well, there's multiple episodes every week to go over those different key elements that I just talked to you about. So there's an HOH episode, a nomination episode, and a veto and veto ceremony episode, and then an eviction episode. So in those episodes, those are kind of like the main areas of focus. They also do throw in a little bit of the strategy talk. They throw in people's diary room sessions, all of those different kinds of things. But you really do, if you only watch the episodes and you don't follow someone like me, or you don't check on Twitter or message boards or any of those kinds of things, and you don't watch the live feeds, you miss so much of the game. These people are locked inside a house together and gaming 24/7. So the live feeds are on Pluto TV for free with ads, and then Paramount Plus for a Paramount Plus subscription. And as I've said multiple times, they're 24/7. However, they do cut for, like, they will cut for certain competitions sometimes. Sometimes they'll let us watch them, sometimes they won't. They will cut for the ceremonies and different things like that. But we can always put the puzzle pieces together of, like, what happened, what transpired. We typically know what is going to happen in episodes, aside from the eviction episode, days before that episode actually airs. So it's also like you don't have to wait so long in between. So if you are someone that would be interested in knowing way more about the game, way more about what's going on in the season, make sure you hit that subscribe button, because I will be doing live feed breakdowns, weekly recaps, and just really giving you all of the information that you may be missing if you don't have the availability to sit and binge the live feeds 24/7 like I prioritize myself. But yeah, so that's kind of how the live feeds work, why they're an important element of the game. And the thing that's really interesting about Big Brother is this is a live show. So, you know, in games like Survivor, they can kind of control the narrative because they film everything. They know what the outcome of the game is and who's going to win. And so they know when to focus on certain people, when to share certain people's stories, all of those different kinds of things. And for Big Brother, they don't know that. So I do know that we give them a really, like, we criticize a lot about their editing and storytelling on Big Brother. And sometimes it is 100% warranted, because there are just certain things that are really important that should be showcased that sometimes they decide not to. And then others, it's like they probably are thinking that this person is about to head home, so they're going to highlight some information about them, and then the person ends up staying. And so, like, there's that element of the unknown for even the production side of it. So that's why I really like the live feeds, because there's a lot of times where things can kind of get lost in the editing sauce if you're not watching the live feeds. But like I said, hit the subscribe button so you are well informed on everything that is going on this upcoming season of Big Brother. If there's any questions that you have about how Big Brother works or anything related to Big Brother, definitely drop them down in the comments. I'm an OG Big Brother fan, and I've been watching the live feeds for, this will be my 10th year, watching the live feeds religiously. So I know my Big Brother stuff. I am a Big Brother knowledge box, Big Brother connoisseur. I don't know what you want to label it, but I know my Big Brother stuff. So if you ever have any questions at all, definitely just drop them in the comments, and I could make a part 2 of this video if we get enough questions coming in. So thank you so much for tuning into today's video. I'll be back with another one soon.